Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com. In this video, we are going to talk about credit freezes. You may have heard this term before, credit freeze, but it is possible that you're not quite sure what it is, why you would want to do it, how to do it, and then how to unfreeze your credit. So we are going to tackle all of those issues. So the first question, what is a credit freeze? Well, you probably already know that there are three major credit reporting bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, that keep credit reports about you. Any credit history that you have, whether that is credit cards, auto loans, mortgage loans, student loans, personal loans of any other kind, they are going to get reported from those lenders to these major credit reporting bureaus, and they're going to keep a file on you that shows your credit history. It's going to show whether you made payments on time, how much your loans are, how much you have already paid off, if they are installment loans, all of that kind of thing. And the information on your credit reports is used to calculate your credit score. And then in the future, when lenders who you may go to for a credit card or for an auto loan or for a mortgage loan or whatever, when they want to see what your credit history looks like, they are going to pull your credit report from one or more of those credit reporting bureaus. Now, by default, your credit reports are going to be left open, which means when you go after those new loans, or maybe a new apartment that you are applying for, or maybe new wireless phone service, or whoever might check your credit report, if the credit reports are open, they can see your past history, they can get a credit score calculated on you and decide on your loan or other thing that you might be going after. That said, a credit freeze is going to freeze your credit report. It is going to stop it in its tracks, put a wall up, not allow anyone to access that credit report from outside. So if you had a credit freeze in place and you went to apply for a credit card, mortgage loan, auto loan, etc., that lender would not be able to access your credit report, and they would then either decline you or they might give you a message back and say, please unfreeze your credit so that we can access your credit report. So if the credit freeze stops anyone from being able to access your credit report, why would that be a good thing? Well, you might already know the answer. In today's environment of massive data breaches where people are getting into the computer files of banks and retail stores and all kinds of other institutions and then stealing the personal information of people, oftentimes including your name, your address, your phone number, your social security number, well then you have people out there that may have access to your personal information and could then go and try to apply for credit cards or loans in your name, and then once they get those loans or credit cards in your name, assuming they're smart enough to be able to sort of hide it from you, well then they could run up the credit card, they could take out the loan and never pay it back. And whose credit report does it end up on? Yours, because they have your social security number and all your personal information, so it appears it is you. And the first time that you may know that you have even had this happen is when you look on your own credit report or you access your credit score and find out that it's way lower than you thought it was, and then you see that there are a loan or a credit card or whatever on there that you did not take out, but somehow it has shown up on your credit report. So this is what everyone worries about when we talk about identity theft and we talk about credit fraud, is someone getting access to your information, taking out these loans and credit cards and whatever in your name and then not paying them back, and you're the one that gets hurt. So the credit freeze obviously prevents that from happening. If a criminal gets a hold of your social security number, all your personal information, and they decide they're going to open a credit card or a loan or whatever in your name, and the institution goes to look at your credit report to see if that person should get the new credit card or loan, well then they're going to get declined because there's a freeze on the credit and the lender is not going to give those loans or credit cards unless they can access that credit report. So it is a way for you to thwart those criminals. Now, if that sounds good to you, setting up a credit freeze is pretty easy to do. However, you do have to do it individually with each of the three credit reporting agencies, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. It is free to do so. You do not have to pay to do a credit freeze. Now, you can do them online. You do have to set up an account with each one of them individually, like I said, which means you're going to have passwords for each one. But once you do that, it is easy enough to go in and freeze your credit. If you request a credit freeze online or you request it by telephone, they're supposed to have it in place within 1 business day. You can also do it by mail, in which case it could take up to 3 business days once they actually get your request. Now, once you've frozen your credit, you have stopped the criminals, but there is going to come a time in the future where you are going to want to have a lender or some other institution access your credit report for your own reasons. You might want a new credit card or a loan, or maybe you're applying for an apartment or for new insurance or for a new cell phone service with a new carrier. There are many times when your credit report may be checked, not only when you are getting credit cards or loans. So in those cases, you're going to want to unfreeze your credit, which really is just the opposite of what you just did. You're going back to TransUnion, back to Experian, back to Equifax, and you are going into your account and you're simply unfreezing your credit again. It is supposed to happen within an hour if you do it online, and oftentimes it's going to be even faster than that. So if you know you are going to get credit, or you know for whatever reason your credit report needs to be checked, you can very simply unfreeze your credit. And if you know exactly which credit reporting agency or agencies are being pulled when someone does a credit check on you, you could even unfreeze just those ones. Oftentimes you're not going to know if it is going to be just one or if it's going to be all three or two of them, so you'll probably unfreeze them all. But if for whatever reason you do know, you can just unfreeze the ones that you need to, and then once the credit report has been pulled, you can just freeze your credit again. Now, hearing all that, you might think to yourself, why wouldn't I want a credit freeze? What possible reason would there be for me to just leave my credit reports open when I could freeze them and only allow access when I want someone to see that information? Well, there really isn't a downside to freezing your credit. It's really only a matter of convenience where maybe you would see it as a con, because for some people, you might freeze your credit and then kind of forget that you froze your credit, and especially you might forget that sometimes your credit report is going to get pulled for reasons that aren't immediately apparent to you. Like I said earlier, sometimes new insurance, when you apply for an apartment, when you are getting new utilities or wireless service. There are a lot of different times your credit report might get pulled, and it might not occur to you that that is going to happen when you apply for those things. So you might forget to unfreeze your credit. And in some cases, if you don't unfreeze and your credit report is accessed, depending on who is accessing it, they might just deny you and not tell you that that is why they denied you. In other cases, they will say, your credit report's frozen, can you unfreeze it so that we can check? But in some cases, you might get denied, and then you're not sure what happened, and so it becomes a little bit more of a process to figure out that it was the credit freeze that stopped your application from going through. So if you do freeze your credit, you're going to want to stay on top of those accounts at the 3 major credit reporting bureaus. Make sure you know what your passwords are, especially if you might be in a situation where the only thing you have is your cell phone in order to be able to go in and unfreeze your credit. You're going to want to make sure that you can actually get into your online account to be able to do so. And if for whatever reason you can't when the time comes, well then obviously that's going to create an interruption in whatever it is you're trying to do where your credit report needs to be pulled. So some people swear by credit freezes. They love the extra protection for other people. They feel like they are an inconvenience, and if they feel like they're on top of their finances, maybe they check their credit report on a regular basis, then maybe they don't think that is necessary. They think they will nip it in the bud. But it is free to do. It is fairly easy to do, and if it will give you extra peace of mind, a credit freeze can be a very good idea. Would love to hear any other questions, comments you might have in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com, where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you don't have a comment, or you're not going to go to the website for whatever crazy reason, you might want to watch this video right here.